Well, happy Father's Day. We are celebrating fathers this morning. We don't have too many fathers with us this morning, but good. Yes, welcome. We are highlighting, I didn't bring it with me today, but the book I Am the Door this month. And the title for today's topic is called Heart to Heart, which is one of the chapters in that book. And as spiritual beings having a human experience, we know, I believe, in my realm of recognition of how life works, it's my opinion at this moment in time, that might change, but my opinion is that when we come to this earth plane from the spiritual realm, that chances are we had something to do with the orchestration of our life. I believe that our birth parents were not accidents, that we very likely were able to choose who and what our families were. And then this is, who is just up for discussion. But I believe that that's a very good possibility. If you have ever read Carolyn Meese in Sacred Contracts, you'll know what I'm talking about, and how that we can sometimes think about setting some things up, ahead of time. And so I know that a lot of people, I'm in a group of 25 or 30 folks in a spiritual coaching group. And every month we have phone calls, and we have different topics that we talk on. And we've talked on Mother's Day, we've talked on Father's Day. And I know that lots of people have had issues with their fathers growing up. That there have been challenges. Fathers don't always have the most mature capabilities to handle their children. And so I do know that some folks have had challenges with fathers. I was not one of those. Thank you, God. So I don't know why every time I talk about my daddy, gets emotional. But my daddy was a very good daddy. And so he left this earth plane when I was 31. And I will continue today to call him Daddy. Now, yesterday, I was over at my son's home, and we celebrated his first Father's Day. So, life is progressing, generation upon generation, move forward. And in today's message, I want you to know that what it's about is love. It's about love. And as I wrote in the thought for the week, nowhere else in life can we learn more about giving and receiving love than through our relationships. For our relationships are the mirrors and points of focus that show us who we are at the time. Jesus the Christ gave the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. Many people focus on the first part of that commandment, to love your neighbor. However, the more critical and substantive part are the last two words, as yourself. The initial step in loving someone else is to first love yourself. As, or the quality of love you have for yourself, is what you will impart to the world. Remember, the Christ was teaching spiritual truth here. This is not involving the ego, but our true whole self that is one with divine love. And so I believe that as we go through this life, we have challenges loving ourselves. And I think primarily that comes into play because our ego goes into that critical or that critique mode. And we start judging. And we start looking at ourselves and we think, oh man, I messed up. or I should have done it this way, or I could have done it this way, that way. And we kind of start kicking ourselves for it. When in truth and in reality, yes, we are a spiritual being that is infinite in nature, but we are living on this earth plane that gives us opportunities for growth, that gives us opportunities time and time again to remember our truth. And so there are going to be times when we're going to look back and we'll say, oh man, I wish I could have done it that way. And we will grow in our maturity, in our awareness of the experiences that we have. Now, we can't go back and change them. You know, I was listening to my Willie Nelson song the other day, about how that I'd love to do that, I'd love to do this or that, but I can't do anything about it now. It was what it was. It is what it is. But we can learn from it. We can take the lesson and we can make a point of it, but not criticize ourselves or make the judgment that we're criticizing someone else. We are all on our own unique spiritual path. We're all doing it the best we can as we are in the consciousness level that we're in at the time. So I want you to remember that this life is always occurring in the eternal now. Life is happening now. We can learn from the past, but we don't want to bring it with us. We want to be able to be in the present now. I love that song because it's beautiful. Go out and enjoy the day. Look and see what's around you. You know, we have so many blessings that are all around us. If we would but open our eyes to them, open our minds, open our hearts to the gifts that God is giving us. Every Sunday, I tell you in one way or another that there is one power and there is one presence. It is divine energy. And as I am saying those words, and as I was writing them, typing them, I'm capitalizing one. I'm capitalizing life. I'm capitalizing E for energy. Because that is the quality of that one power. We talk about those qualities: love, harmony, beauty, abundance, all of that. And there's only one. So that's us. We are in that essence. And so get a clue that that is the truth. And every time you have that thought of the critique, of the judgment coming up, that was right and that was wrong, just take a mental note of it and recognize that what you're doing in that moment is that you are separating yourself from your truth, from wholeness. You are living in separation, and that is not fun. And what does Edwin Gaines say? This is the party planet. This is a fun place to be. We want to enjoy life. We want to be able to remember our truth at all times and to let go of that criticism of self and of others. You know, Jesus, the master teacher, told us to judge with right judgment. What is right judgment? Judging with right judgment is knowing that all there is love. And if this person is acting out, if I'm acting out, it's just because I'm forgetting. I don't quite remember what it is that is my truth. And I have this wonderful reading in my notes said, read June 14th from Opening Doors Within. And the door's not open here. It's back there somewhere in my bag, I think, if I even picked it up this morning. In any event, well, I'll share it when the time is right. What it's talking about, though, the essence of it, was that to remember that we don't need to be critical, that we don't need to judge, that's really not our place. That we need to remember to be in the moment and to move on from there, to move on from here. One of the cornerstones of our teachings, and typically I go over the basics of science of mind teachings in September, but something struck me today that we need to touch on this because we haven't in a while. And that is, one of the cornerstones of our teachings is what we call treatment. It's our prayer method. It's the way that we pray. Typically, it's a 5-step treatment. And I wanted to share with you the fact that we have education in our teaching. We have classes that we give first year, second year, third year. If you have gone through first, second year, you're into third year, you're in the practitioner classes. And a practitioner is a trained, what I call prayer partner. A practitioner is trained in knowing the truth for you, for their clients. Someone will come to a practitioner and say, I've got this situation. Here I am in this drama. And let me tell you my story. And the practitioner listens with an open mind and an open heart and allows them to tell the story succinctly. Because as a practitioner, you don't want the person to keep going on and on and on and on and on about the story. Let me get the clue on it here. And then the practitioner prays or knows the truth for that person when they're unable to see it for themselves. So we have the first step of treatment is recognition. You're jumping to step 2. Recognition, recognizing that there is only one. That's all there is. And it is love. It is pure. There's all those wonderful qualities that we give it, another capital, right? And so we know that's all there is. And so then we unify with it. The second step is knowing that is it, that's me. I'm joining with it. That's what I am. Now, if you can just get those first 2 steps, that's usually all you need to do. But having a human experience, we want to do stuff here on this earth plane. We want to have stuff. We want to play, on this earth plane. And so we decide, well, you know what? I'd like a new car. I'd like a new house. I'd like to have a better relationship or whatever that. And that's our third step. That's our realization of how am I going to allow this beautiful, unlimited spiritual power that I am to play on this earth plane. So this is what I'm declaring. This is what I want to experience. And our fourth step then is to give thanks, knowing it is done. And the fifth is to release it and let it be. Now, time and time again, we'll say, well, you only need to do the treatment once. That is true. Unless your mind starts questioning and starts coming up again and worrying or wondering or well, then you better do the treatment again. You do the treatment again until you absolutely know it is done. And I think one of the challenges for us in our human experience is this thing called divine timing. Spirit speed is what we've called it here in this church before. We're living in spirit speed. And spirit speed sometimes isn't our speed. And so we let it go, knowing that it is planted in the soil, in the seed. Many times we talk about the example. If you plant a seed, how many of you have gardens going right now? And you have your vegetables and all that garden going? Well, you plant a seed, and then you water it, right? And you keep it tended. But do you dig it back up to see if it's growing? But that's what we do when we question if God, if energy, if source is doing the work. We keep digging it up thinking, oh yeah, I've got to check on this. Really? You let it go. You gave it to spirit. It's going to show up. We've got a room over here. We've asked for folks to be aware that we're going to make this a practitioner room. It used to be our gift shop. And it's pretty much empty right now. We're looking for some beautiful matching cushioned chairs. And we know what we want, you see. This is our third step. We're declaring this is how we want this to look. It's not a big room, so we need to have, like smaller things that'll fit in there. A little table, little desk, little side table. And it will show up when Spirit shows it to us. I went to a thrift store this week and thought, well, it won't be on that one. We put out that energy, that request into the universe, and it's taken. Our order is taken. And we need to trust that it shows up at the right and perfect time. So we need to let it go, knowing that it is so. One of the things to realize that if you start questioning, if you start digging up your seed, you say, well, I don't understand, why isn't this working? Good. You're asking a question. That's wonderful. Ask the question, what is it that I must release in order to allow this manifestation to take place? What is it that I need to let go of in order to allow Spirit and God and energy and Source to bring me my good? What am I holding on to that I need to let go of? The other question to ask, that is a relative important question to ask, is what quality do I need to birth in myself that will help draw this answer to me? One of the ones that, if you think about it, what is love? Love is incredibly patient. Is it not? And that's one of the qualities for myself that I need to remind myself time and time again. To be patient, to allow, to just be. How many of you have on your to-do list to just be today? Wouldn't that be great? I have a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle that's a new one on my table. And I picked it. I bought this box. Again, it was at a yard sale. And it was a box of puzzles that I have 10 different puzzles in this one box. It was a deal. And and I chose the 500 pieces as a kind of a nice size for me to do. So I'm looking through all of them. I'm thinking, oh, that one's too hard. That one's too hard. That one's too hard. I'll choose this one. So I chose this one thinking it was an easier one. And then, of course, as I start to put it out, I'm thinking, why did I think this thing was easy? But it's helpful for me to do that kind of an activity for myself because I'm one of those people that need to nourish my patience. I need to do an activity where I don't have to have a deadline about it. And I know me as a A- type personality, I can sometimes put an awful lot on my plate. Somebody said this morning that, gosh, this was a challenging week. I overbooked myself. I had 2 things going at once. And I thought, boy, how many times have I done that? How many times I'll know in the back of my head, I'm looking forward to this. Oh, yes, it's great, great, great. And then something else will come up. Like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then it'll dawn on me, oh my gosh, they're both at the same time. So put on your to-do list to be today, would you? If you want to come over and help me with my puzzle, I'll be happy to have some assistance. As I think about Father's Day and fathers, what the scene that comes to my mind more so than anything else is the idea of a child learning to ride a bike. And they're doing the toddler thing, so they've had the tricycle, with the 3 wheels. But when they go to the 2-wheel bicycle, what comes to mind is that they get on that bike and they're balancing it, and Dad, the fatherly influence, the guidance is holding on to that back of that bike, right? And as they start to gain momentum, the dad's helping them, keep it upright. And so he starts running alongside the bike because this child has gotten the movement of it, right? And they're in the flow of it. And he's running alongside that bike until finally he can let go. Recognize that you have that God guidance, wisdom within you, guiding you, giving you that little extra oomph of what you need at every moment. Lean on it. Recognize it. Be aware of it. When the Buddha was going into his meditative state, and he was in there, for a long time, and when he finally came out of it, and people were saying, "What are you? Are you God? Are you Christ? What are you?" And what was his reply? "I am awake. I am awake." And that's what we want to be, awake. We want to be aware of the truth of our being. That we are never alone. That we are never separate. That we always have within us that guidance to bring us through whatever it is, that little thing that's going on in the back of our mind. Oh, if only, gosh, what if? That little what if is an inspirational, divine little spark, a little flame. Oh gosh, that reminds me, we had a fire this last week up at our place. Did anybody hear about that? Yeah, that was the craziest thing. I had never realized this, but we live out, in the country, and so we have 14 acres of pasture. That's our backyard, which gets mowed religiously. Gets mowed, not by me, but by Randy. And there's an oak tree that's in between the two properties. Well, the other property next to us, they let their grass grow about, to 2 or 3 feet. They don't mow it. And in the middle of the day, thank goodness, thank God, Becky was home, and she heard, his great hearing, heard this cracking. What's that? And she looked out and she saw the limb of the oak tree fall. And as it hit the ground, it fell onto a barbed wire fence. Barbed wire fence caused a spark. Spark started the grass on fire. She literally saw it begin and was able to call 911. And our neighbor down the street from us was, and wouldn't you know it, I'm working down in La Mesa that day, and I left my phone at home. So, and I'm busy. I write commercial insurance. I got people at my desk, and Becky's calling me. I said, "Becky, I'm busy. What is it?" She goes, "Well, there was a fire, but it's out now." I said, "Oh, good. The fire's out now. Thank you." It burned only 4 acres. Our fire department came. We had 6 engines there. And they stopped it before it got to the eucalyptus trees. It literally, there's no more big grass next to us because it's all black. Burned just that grassy area. So God was looking out for us. Thank you, God. So I kept thinking, gosh, what if that happened in the middle of the night? And somebody wouldn't have seen it happen. It's a lesson. It's a lesson to, keep things trimmed. And so I'm not sure why I got off on that, but I wanted to let you know that life happens. Okay, fires happen. And we need to be ready to respond in an appropriate way with our life. Be willing to ask for help. Be willing to be open, to know that Spirit, whatever I have need of, it is right here. I think that was one of the sayings on the calendar, Louise Hay's calendar, yesterday or today. Whatever I have need of, I have it right now and right here with me. So as we celebrate this Father's Day, I want you to remember to just take that critic that can pop up at any time, that critic, and let it just sit quietly. let it go. Let it be. Tell yourself that, you know what? I'm busy enough minding my own business. I don't need to mind somebody else's business. I know for them, put your practitioner hat on. I know for them that they are experiencing and demonstrating love, unconditional love, God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, in their very best way that they can, right now. And that's the best way that we can help someone else, is to know their truth for them and not be critical, not to point out and not to focus on what is wrong. And that is starting with ourselves. To love ourselves. You know, get your arms around yourself and, you know, do the little hug dance. I have been playing, I told you this a couple weeks ago, with those gossamer wings that have been coming around me and just sending that beautiful divine white energy love to me. Oh, there is nothing like it. Because the quality of love that we have for ourselves is what we will give out to others. That's really the basic bottom line of the whole thing. And to honor and remember and give thanks for the fathers, for the guidance, for the wisdom that has gotten you where you are right now in this life. To say thank you. To be grateful. And to know that as we live in the eternal now, things are going to change. And you're going to be up for it. You're going to be ready for it. Because we are living in the eternal now. That's what life is about. Remember, life is love. It is bliss. It is peace. It is joy. That is why we're here. To reveal that. To let it come and unrestricted, unstifled. Bless you. So put a smile on your face. Accept the love that you are. And let that love light shine out through you, through your eyes, and see it in everyone else this week. Namaste.